Thank you, everyone, for joining. We will start right now, 12 o'clock on the dot. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Building Highly Scalable Web and Mobile Applications in the Cloud, presented by Marcel Rebus, Avnet Academy Brand Advocate, IBM Master Instructor, and most recently named an IBM Champion. I'd like to first take a few minutes to go through some housekeeping items. So during today's webinar, everyone's phones will be muted. If you have any questions during the webinar, please enter them into the chat box, and we will address them during the question and answer portion of the webinar, which is towards the end. Now, let's go ahead and get started. Marcel, please take it away.
Thank you, Jen. Hi, everyone. This is Marcel Rebus, and appreciate your taking your time to be with us today. It's a subject that I'm really excited about, and I hope we can all get a lot of value from this session. So, as the name says, so let's go through the agenda. Let's see if I can move the slides here. So what we're going to talk about are the cloud models available today, platform as a service, which is the model we're going to discuss, then the IBM Bluemix offering, IBM offering in that platform as a service category, which is called Bluemix. We're going to talk about how to develop and deploy applications in a platform as a service environment. I'm going to talk a little bit about DevOps, which is a concept that has been taking a lot of attention these days, which allows developers to deploy their applications without having system administrators to do it for them. Then we're going to talk about the services available, the scalability, how to plan for that. Then in the end, if you stick with me, promise it's going to get fun. We're going to do a couple demos of two applications that are running today on Bluemix and discuss a little bit about them. Let's move on. So the problem that we have today is that things are changing quite fast, and it's hard to keep delivering the solutions in the same space that people are expecting them. Apps are everywhere. It's not only a computer. There are apps in front of everyone today, and their cell phones. People are used to slick applications that they run on their own phones, and if you deliver an application for your company and if it doesn't look good, or if it doesn't work as well as other applications they have, they will not use it. So you got to be really, the bar has been raised quite a bit. And the thing that's making it possible to deliver fast is the cloud. There are several models of the cloud we're going to discuss, and it's not more. It's not a buzzword anymore. It's a reality, and you really need to take advantage of the cloud to get the solutions in the hands of your customers as soon as possible. This is what is expected from a platform for applications today. Developers want things that take only seconds to deploy, that are friction-free, meaning there's no tangles, there's no problems in deploying, continuous integration, continuous deployment, useful APIs that they don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. They want to use different tools, they don't want to be locked into a specific tool or language or platform or vendor. And it needs to be mobile ready, of course. They want to focus on code. So in the past, we only had what was called the core IT, or the old model of the data center, where everything, all the stack, all the way from the hardware, the network, the storage, the services, everything all the way up was managed by you, by your company, by someone that you hire to do that. Right? You either had someone in-house or you had a contract with the data center that did all of this for you. So whenever you needed to deploy an application, you go to these people and say, hey, I need this code to be deployed. And they have all the other components that the code needs to run, all customer managed. So benefits of that, you can do whatever you want. It's fully customizable, but the time it takes is a long time. In the bottom of the slide, you can see the customization versus standardization benefits. So this is what we call the most customizable model, but however, it's the slower time to value. Now moving on, we started to see infrastructure as a service offerings. Data centers started to offer them, and then we started to talk about the cloud, things like Amazon Web Services, where the provider would take care of everything all the way up to the OS. They would take care of the hardware for you. You don't care how much disk space you're going to need, because all you need to do is ask them for a decent virtual machine, and then you're going to get what you want. You're responsible for everything else. You're responsible for the middleware, for the runtimes, the data, the code, and everything else. Benefits, you taking a lot of the burden from your own system admin people, but still takes some minutes, some days, sometimes to provision VMs. It takes some time to install the middleware that's going to run on those VMs. Sometimes they need fixed packs, then you need to do maintenance on them yourself, and it takes some extra time from your system admin people to get your code running and keep it running. An offering that IBM has on that space is called SoftLayer, and that's actually where the Bluemix services we're going to discuss run on. So moving on, we have the platform as a service, which is a much more flexible in terms of when you need things, because if you need to deploy a code just quickly and show it to your customers, or do a proof of concept, or even put it in production, it's very quickly. You go there and instantiate the runtime you need. You tell the platform what kind of language you're going to be developing, and you create the runtime for you. You load the data, you load the code, and it's running. It's minutes to deploy. It's really fast. And the one model I'm not discussing here in these slides is the software as a service, which is the least flexible of all, meaning that you only get what the software offers for you. You don't have any flexibility to write your own code. But it's been there for a while. It's not a new concept, so we're basically not talking about it in this presentation, but just so you know it's there. Right, so let's talk about platform as a service. That's where the IBM Bluemix offer comes into play. Right, you can still use whatever you use today and integrating with the services that run on the platform. So Bluemix is IBM's offering on that space, and again, it has all the capabilities and the advantages that we discussed earlier. You go live in seconds. You have all the DevOps capabilities for developing your own code and deploying it yourself. Then you have APIs and services available to you, things that you don't need to redeploy or reinvent. Things like, for example, for mobile apps, you have authentication services, you have push notification services. We're going to see that in the end of the presentation. You have layered security because you don't have to worry about security. There's an API for that as well. You can integrate with your on-prem systems. You can build hybrid environments, and you have flexible pricing, meaning that you don't pay a flat fee. You pay as much as you use, and if you don't use it, you shut the application off and you don't pay anything. So it's really flexible. This is a slide that shows the architecture. I just want to point out that Cloud Foundry is an open source project that allowed all these to be possible. It is a set of commands that instantiate runtimes and services for you to deploy your code in. There are other solutions out there that use Cloud Foundry. Cloud Foundry is a foundation. IBM is one of the sponsors and uses it for its own offering called Bluemix, meaning that if you start using Bluemix and then later you want to move on to another Cloud Foundry-based platform, you can. Again, this is just why we're using this type of service today. I guess I've done enough advertisement so far. Try to get to the meat of it. Some core use cases of things you can do with. They have over 30,000 data applications, and that data is probably outdated. There's a lot more today. There's a lot more. There are some production applications as well. So you have web applications. You have mobile backends. Like I said, you don't have usually if you're looking to develop a mobile application and put it in the app stores of the world, you usually let's say you learn how to develop for iOS or Android. There's a problem that most of these applications, to bring some value to the user, they need some back-end data. They need to connect to a server where there's data, where there are other services that you push information over to the mobile devices. How do you do that? You need to have your own server. So how do you have your own server? So you start adding costs and adding system administration time, and then all the time to market advantage that you had is going out the window because you're taking too long to put your solution in the market, right? So a solution like that allows you to quickly put your mobile backend in Bluemix and get your application in the app stores and get people to use it because you don't have to set up all the infrastructure to do it. Same thing for analytics and reports. They have several services available to you in that area. I don't know if you heard of IBM Watson. This is one of the services available in Bluemix as well, so you can use analytics and actually artificial intelligence in your applications as well because it's available to you. APIs and on-prem integration, like I said, they are integrated. You don't need to move all your stuff into this new platform. You can still keep your legacy services going and integrate it with whatever is running in the platform as a service. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to share my screen and see and show you what happens in real life. So let's get away from the slides just a little bit for a while. Let me see how I do this. Can you see my screen today?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So this is Bluemix's interface. To log on to Bluemix, actually, let me log out here so it's easy to understand what's going on. So you need an IBM ID to sign up for Bluemix. They give you a 30-day trial to use all the services. So you go here and log in, or you sign up for free. In my case, I already have an IBM ID, so I just sign in with that. If you don't, you can just create it on the spot. You just need an email address. It's free. Then when you go to the dashboard, you're going to see, well, first of all, if you already have apps running, you're going to see a little, well, like a dashboard, like some indicators of the health of your applications and how much of the services you're using. Then in the catalog, you're going to find the services available to you. The boilerplates are sets of application runtimes and services that usually go well together. If you don't want to use one of the boilerplates, you can use just the runtimes. So you define what language you're going to use to start with. So out of the box, they come with Java Liberty. So whatever applications you have in Java, your servlets, your web apps written in Java, they're going to run here. Then you have Node.js, really popular these days. It's a JavaScript-based server architecture, so you can write server apps with JavaScript. Then you notice that some of them were created by the community, meaning that you can bring other runtimes to the platform. Go is one of them. It used to be a custom build pack that you can bring. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Now it's an official build runtime. And you have PHP, you have Python, you have Ruby on Rails, and Ruby Sinatra. So bring your build pack is, for example, let's say you have a language that you develop and it's not in Bluemix yet. Because it is a Cloud Foundry-based environment, you can look into the Cloud Foundry documentation, see how to build a build pack, which is kind of like a compiler, so to speak, and our runtime is going to run, or interpreter, depending on the type of language you're using. And this is going to be instantiated by the platform for you. An idea that I just came to mind the other day with, for example, with the Mono project, and recently they had .NET code becoming open source. Pretty soon we're going to see, I think, .NET build pack built for Bluemix. So then you have the services. The services are organized in categories because there are so many. So you have the Watson services, you have the mobile services, the DevOps, web and application. And sorry if I'm just going through quickly here because there's so much. I'm going to talk about a few of them. Integration, data management, which are the databases and other tools you have. For example, you have MongoDB available for you. You have Cloud and NoSQL DB. It's a product that got acquired by IBM. So if you have any NoSQL DB, I'm going to show you one of those in a minute. Then you have big data, security, business analytics. This is the predictive modeling is brand new, just wasn't here last week. And then Internet of Things, which is also very interesting. So this is the catalog. Once you start building applications, that's where you go, right? Then you have pricing, which tells you how much you're going to be charged. And like I said, the first 30 days is free, but then after that, you start getting charged if you go over a specific amount of time. So you can still run free for quite a bit of time. For example, gigabyte hour for Liberty for Java, gigabyte hour costs 7 cents, but only after you pass 375 gigabyte hours, which is basically relieving an application running for about 2 weeks. So if you're not running the application full time, you shut it off, you're not going to even pay anything. But, of course, if you start using it and getting value out of it, then you start paying for it. Then the cool thing about it is the estimate as well, because you can instantiate, you can basically say how many instances you're going to need of them, and then you say how much memory each of them is going to use, right? For example, if I run 4 instances of 512 megs, then it's going to cost me $74. And by the way, 512 megs is quite a bit for a Java JVM, and it's not that you're going to break the bank if you start running. For example, if you run 3 applications over 128 megs each, you're not going to pay anything. So let me just move on here to see what else I had on. So this is the dashboard, and here on the left, I just wanted to show you the organization feature where you can add other people to your organization. Because when you create a Bluemix account, you're creating an account for yourself. There's an individual that has an account with an email address. But you can, if you work with other people, if you're a team, you can create organizations and add these people to your team. And then these organizations have a shared space. That's what I have, for example, here. I have the Avnet Academy organization, and then I have my own organization. Each person, when they sign up, have their own space, their own organization that they're responsible for, right? Then in each organization, let me see if I can show you this. Go back to the dashboard. So in each organization, you can create spaces, which are also separations of your environment. Let's say you have a prod space and a dev space. Right now I just have a dev space here in my organization. So it's really simple, but you can go more complex. You can create multiple spaces. You can define which users are going to have access to each space, and you can define domains, your custom domains, and then you can define quota, how much memory each space is going to get, so that you don't get hit in the end of the month with a developer that decided that they could use all the memory for themselves. So we talk about pricing. Oh, docs. I wanted to show you the documentation. It's really rich. Actually, a lot of the things I'm going to show today is in the documentation. We have tutorials. We have detailed instructions on how to do things. You have information about the boilerplates, the runtimes. For example, if you want to build a Java application, it tells you how to do it. There's a command line interface as well I'm going to show. And also the community, also really rich, because it's all people like us, people that are building applications, and it runs on DeveloperWorks. DeveloperWorks is IBM's community of developers, and then you have inside DeveloperWorks, you have the whole Bluemix developers community. You have all the documentation to get started in Bluemix. You have all the forums, like I'm having this issue, I'm having this error, how do I do? Like you get answers, you ask all the developers, and then people will help you right away. It's really active. You'd be surprised. You post a question, and 15 minutes later you get someone responding. It's really fast. And you can also search, of course. So show the catalog, show the starters and runtimes. So let me deploy an application so you know what I'm talking about. For example, if I go to the dashboard and say I want a new application, then first I need to decide first I go to the catalog and I need to decide which type of application I want to put in. So in this case, let me choose Java Cloud and Web Starter. So this is a boilerplate that has the Liberty of Java for Java runtime, has a NoSQL database, and has a monitoring and analytics service. Right? I have all the docs here, and all I need to do is say the name of the application. It's going to auto-generate the host for me. So the host is what's important because all of them are running into this Bluemix domain here, mybluemix.net. So if I type a name that's already there, let's say test, it's not going to let me because it's going to tell me that someone else has created an application with the same name. But of course, this is just a way to quickly differentiate your application from all the rest of the Bluemix ones and put it online. If you go deploy a production application, you're going to have your own domain, and you're going to have your own host name for it. So all I need to do is click Create, wait a little bit while the application is being instantiated. So it's still starting. And while we're waiting for it to start, I'm going to point out something that we're going to talk about later, which is instances and memory quota. So as you can see in the application itself, I can define how I actually can manually scale it. Let's say I need more memory. I can just come here and add more memory. If I need more instances, I can do it here. And it's all automatic for me. I don't need to worry about asking someone, hey, can you put more memory in that machine because it's not running well. So if you click on the route, which is the web address for it, it's going to bring it up live on the web. Of course, it's a boilerplate, so it's only going to bring like a sample code that's out there. It's an application that allows you to enter something and choose a file to upload. You can also delete. So it's a simple application that comes in the boilerplate. All right, so I created the boilerplate. So next thing I would do is actually write my application on top of it. So I can click on Start Coding on your left, and it asks me how do I want to start coding, because it says you can do whatever you want, whatever you prefer. They have you can use Eclipse, for example, your local IDE, your development environment. You can use the command line interface to push your application. You can edit your code with any text editor and then push it using the command line interface. CF stands for Cloud Foundry. So like I said, it's based on Cloud Foundry. And then you have Git with IBM DevOps. So you commit to Git repository and you push to Bluemix using the DevOps service. So all these options are available for you. So if you do want to continue developing this application, you can click on Download Starter Code, and it will download the project for you. So now that I have the project here, I'm going to show you that. So this is what it looks like, the project. It has a WAR file there already because I can just deploy that WAR file back into Bluemix, or it has all the source code, right? So I can open a text editor and change the source code and rebuild the project and upload it, and it's there. For example, if I go here and back to the dashboard and delete this application, as you can see, the dashboard, the application is now showing up here. I can delete it. I can delete the routes and everything. In this case, I'm not going to delete the services because I'm going to redeploy the application. But I'm going to delete the route. So now, so the application is gone, and I'm going to redeploy it. So it's here in this AVNet webinar. Let's see where I am. So here's my application, and like I said, I have the command line CF. That is a Cloud Foundry feature. I can install it. I already have it installed, but it's really easy to install. Bluemix has information on how to do it. And then you connect to it, and all you need to do is push it back to the server. The file is this Java Cloud and db.war. I haven't changed it. I can define how much memory I need here. I can, this is just, an option not to include manifest and not to start it, because I'm going to have to bind it to the services first. I can bind it through the command line as well, but I'm going to show it in the interface first, in the command line interface. So it's there. So I put it back there, and the one I have deleted is back there because I have redeployed it. It stopped, of course, but it's not bound to the two services I needed. So I'm going to do this before I actually deployed it to the wrong place, right? Like I said, the space, I deployed it to the AVNet Academy instead of the Marcel space, but that's not a problem. I can simply add the service. Where's data management? Okay. And now I created a new database service to bind it to my application. Now I'm starting the application. Let's wait for it to finish. Brings me the health of the application. If I already gave me an error, so let me see what's going on. I have logs to look at. See? That's the problem with live demos. Yeah, it was not able to define the route. Well, let me see what happens here. Stop it. Just create another route. So again, so I'm going through these extra steps because of, I deployed an application and I redeployed in a different space, and that kind of broke the whole, really broke my whole demo. But what I can do is go back to my original space. And show you one of the other applications I have it here, right? Well, I'm going to do that later. First, I needed to show a little bit more about editing the applications. So, for example, in your dashboard, this is one of the applications that I have built based on documentation that I found on the web. I'm going to show it to you later. But let's say I don't want to do all the text, the Cloud Foundry text-based deploy and everything. I can just go and edit the code in Bluemix itself. So I use what's called DevOps services. I clicked on Add Git to the right of the application, and I create a Git repository for it. This is going to make use of IBM's Bluemix DevOps services. Takes a little bit. Let's see if I can share the... So now notice that I have a Git URL to the right that goes to hub.js.net, and I can click on Edit Code to go to that environment. So with DevOps, it's so you can do basically three things with DevOps. You can edit the code, so it works as your IDE. It's a web IDE. It's based on the Orion project. You can see Orion content here. If you Google about the Orion project, you're going to learn more about it. So it is like a web-based Eclipse interface. Then you have Track and Plan, which is the project management capabilities of it. I don't know if you have heard of Rational Team Concert, but basically hub.js.net is a web-based project management and source control tool. So you can add work items, you can assign tasks to people, you can control your whole project from here. And then finally you have build and deploy. So you have, once you've done coding, you can build your application and deploy it into Bluemix. In this case, I have a pipeline here that has 2 stages, build and deploy, so I can run it and deploy it. So let's take a look at just the edit code window. For example, see if I can. So for example, if you want to make changes to files and then you want to redeploy it, and now since you are on a Git repository and you are on a source control system, you have to merge, you have to commit your changes and then push it to production. It's really interesting. So you can collaborate and have multiple people working in DevOps. You can also integrate that with Eclipse, right? For example, because I have a Git URL here, I can technically go to Eclipse and this is my local Eclipse. I can import and go to projects from Git, clone this URL. It's going to prompt me for my Bluemix, for my DevOps password. And by the way, they are integrated. They use the same IBM ID. Oops, sorry. And then I have the files that I needed here. So that's how you can do. You can decide how you code. You can, let me just go back to the slides real quick to see where we are. You can decide how you code. You can, if you want to use your own text editor, you can. And all of this is in the demos that I showed. Right, you decide how you code. You can either use the web IDE or you can work with the desktop client or any other text applications and use the command line to push and pull code from it. So it's very flexible. So we are kind of running late on time. I was going to describe a little bit of how to become a service provider for Bluemix. All those services that you saw, you can also create your own, and you can be a partner of IBM creating services for other people to use there. So if that's something that your companies do, feel free to go ahead. What the cloud gives is choice, like runtimes, the services, whatever language is more suitable. Let's say you found some code on the internet that works well and it's in a language that you don't quite master, but you can, if there is a runtime for that in Bluemix, you can use it. So it's called polyglot programming. You use the best tool for the job. You don't need to just do it in Java or just do it in Node or just do it in Python. Right? You can compose services that are collections of microservices. Can integrate with your on-premise applications, like I said. So I wanted to get to the scalability portion of it. Like I said, there's vertical and horizontal scaling available. You can scaling up by just increasing the memory, or you can scale out by adding instances. So Bluemix does the load balancing for you, which is really cool. And you can do it manual, like I showed you earlier, or auto scaling. There is an add-on to Bluemix that you can drop to your application, and it does auto scaling for you. When it gets to a certain threshold of usage, it automatically creates a new instance for you or adds more memory for you. Really flexible on that as well. There's an excellent article there. I hope you have access to the slides here that explains all the scalability options, basically the theory behind vertical versus horizontal, and then how to do that with Bluemix. And then there's a deep dive session as well, a webinar that I have the address here. A few rules for, it should be 9 rules for cloud applications. I'm sorry about the slide, but basically don't code anything that's related to the environment itself, the file system, or depends on infrastructure, because you don't know where this application is going to be running, right? So don't rely on OS-specific things. So I'm just wanted to spend the rest of this presentation to kind of show you a couple of apps. So one of them is the one I was using here on my dashboard. It's a hangman game that was created by an IBMer to show how to create apps in Java for Bluemix. This is simple application you create. It's just a game, but to illustrate how to create the application, how to change the code, how to deploy your changed code, and how to run it. So it just draws a person being hanged, as you try to guess the words, right? So if you get the word right, it says you win, right? If you don't get the word right, it says you lose. So this is, where is the, and actually, let me share this application with you. So this person created, from IBM, he created separated the app and the service. I just created using a boilerplate. So it created the NoSQL database for me. And you can actually see what's inside the database. I might have to see if I can do this to re-authenticate. It's a NoSQL database, so it uses JSON type payloads for the data. For example, if I want to take a look at the categories, I can see them here. Right? Let me go back to the dashboard. And then you have the Liberty for Java instance. I don't need any more resources. It's more than enough. And this is the application running. So it draws a little. And you can try it from your computer. This is a public application. It's running. And it draws a little hangman person. If I get too many wrong letters, it gives me game over. And again, this is the code for it is on the URL that I put in on the slide. You can basically go there and get the code and see how it works, deploy it to your own Bluemix, and see if you get a feel of it. I am a strong believer that getting these as examples up and running in your own environment is the best way to learn, because then you get the feeling of what you can do with them. And the other project that I wanted to show before we close for today is a web project. I'm sorry, on a mobile project. So I have it here. It's called Blue List Marcel. I just created with my name, but I used in the catalog. When you go to the catalog, you can find something called Mobile First Services Starter. So it gives you a Node.js environment to write your server-based stuff. Node is specifically good for web type of HTTP services because it has web service capabilities built into the language. Then you have NoSQLDB as the database for persistent data from mobile devices. Then you have Push iOS 8, which is a service that allows you to push messages to mobile devices. And then Advanced Mobile Access, which is a service that allows for authentication. In this case, I'm using Facebook as the API for authentication. So going back to the dashboard, this is my application that uses all these services, right? But I also have the web application itself called Blue List. This is available also. This is a brand new tutorial. This came out last week from IBM. And you can download the code the same way we did with the Git. It's all in DevOps. You can just fork the code or download it to your personal laptop. Then what happens is that you have an application running on your device that allows you. It's like a reminder, like a list of things you need to do, right? So I can add an item here, and now what you see is not an emulator. It's actually my device. So I'm using my device to bring up the interface, the keyboard actually, for webinar. And then when you click on the little circles, it gives you priority. So white is normal priority, medium is yellow, and then the red is high. And you can view them listed as priority. So the way the writing in the database happens is when I pull the list down. So I'm synchronizing it with the server. So I don't know why it's taking a little bit longer now, but while it's doing this here on the other screen, I can show you the database. Actually, let me show you here. Yeah, somehow my app is super slow today. It needed to re-authenticate itself. So this is the database. I still only have 4 items here because this one is pushing items to the database. Well, and the other thing I wanted to show you before is the push notification as well, because this again, yeah, I don't know what's going on with. I think it's my internet connection. me go back to, yeah, I think it's my internet connection. I'm sorry. So going back to the database now, hopefully I'll be able to show you the new item that was just uploaded. No, not yet. Promise it was working yesterday. And by the way, I just, like I said, it's a 10-minute thing to get the code running once you know what you're doing. The only problem here, not a problem, but something that required a little bit more work, was to define the push service, because you need to create a certificate in your Apple environment and upload it to Bluemix so it knows that the app that you wrote is authorized to talk to your Bluemix service. Once it does that, once you have a mobile device that's registered using that certificate, you can send notifications to it. Sorry. Somehow it's not authenticating now. Okay, got it. So once you send the notification, you see it here appearing in my cell phone, which is my personal cell phone. I just installed the application here. So that's the the demo of the mobile application. It was really easy to build, and I'm going to show you the slide with the link to the tutorial. So this one just got created. This got uploaded February 10th. It uses iOS 8. It uses Swift, the new language from Apple. It's by Belinda Vennon and Carlos Santana. He's not the guitar player. He is an IBM mobile architect. And so you can get that as well and try it for yourself. It was, like I said, it required a little bit of iOS programming knowledge just to be able to build the application, but and create that certificate to upload in Bluemix, but all the rest was really easy. If you follow their tutorials, super detailed. They have also tutorials on the Internet of Things. I recommend you take a look into that. It's the estimate is that 40 billion devices in 5 years are going to be connected to the Internet, and not most of them will be computers and smartphones. It will be like remote controls and things that open doors and control thermostats and things like that. So all of these will be connected through the Internet, and all of these can be connected through Bluemix. Take a look at the Ryan Baxter's tutorial on those, really interesting as well. And before we go, I need to talk about the Avnet Academy offerings for Bluemix. We have a course available, new course that we're creating, basically telling you how to do all these things that I showed today in detail with hands-on labs and everything. It's going to be an online massive class where you will have access to all the lectures and a forum to get answers to the questions you need. So someone is like me, someone with a little bit more experience in Bluemix is going to take you by the hand and get you going. It's so that's the offering that we have. We're going to be making it available starting April 1. There are also 2 IBM offerings on Bluemix as well. They basically converted 2 of the classes existing to Bluemix. One is with Node.js. The other is with Liberty Profile. We're also going to include some of that content in our virtual class as well. But if you want to take it today, it's available by IBM. We can get you going. So that's it that I had. We're adding services every day in Bluemix. We've seen, like I said, there was a service that I didn't even notice before today. You don't need to stay in just one technology or language. You're going to use what's best for the job. It's based on open standards. There's a lot to learn, of course, but the experience is very rewarding because quickly you can get things going. You see results, and it's out there for people to use. Join while we're in the beginning of the journey, right? It's just starting, and I wish you guys got some value out of this demonstration. I apologize for a little bit of glitches, but that's what happens in live demos. And if you have any questions, just feel free to shoot.
The conference has been unmuted.
Yeah, so I just took everybody off of mute. If there are any questions, please feel free to chime in. I know that we are officially over time now, so I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know that the recording will be available after the call. I will send out an email to all of the attendees with a link so that you can go back and watch this presentation again. If you have any other questions directly from Marcel, here's his contact information on this slide here. And I'm going to go ahead and, does anybody have any questions?
There's a question on the chat from Hashmat Malik. Where do partners fit in reselling all of this? Well, the actual money that people pay to use Bluemix services, it's an IBM direct revenue. I don't think there is any sort of like referral fee or anything like that on that. However, there are partner opportunities on creating your own services for Bluemix, and also helping your customers get on Bluemix. You help them develop, you guide them by the hand, and then of course it's a service opportunity. But in terms of selling software, if you're just a partner reselling software, you're probably going to need to create some added value out of Bluemix, create your own offering that you can sell it as a service through the partner marketplace.
Thank you very much. This is Hash. And Marcel, where does Avnet fit into it besides the fact that there's a course that Avnet is going to be offering?
Well, I'm in the Avnet Academy business, right? So we actually I concentrate on the enablement, training and enablement part of the business. But in terms of Avnet partners, there isn't a defined model on how, for example, the partner can get a Bluemix product and sell it and make money off of it. So the only thing I see from my standpoint is if you have, if you put some effort in packaging a set of Bluemix services and maybe some custom code to sell it as a service. I see a lot of potential, for example, for this in the analytics piece, and if you're a partner, I don't know what technologies you specialize on. But I see the Watson services as well, something that you can build around business intelligence. There's a lot of untapped potential there.
Got it. Thank you, Marcel. You did a great job in the little time that you had.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining.
Great. Thank you all. And unless there are any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and we'll wrap this up, and you should receive the recording link here shortly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.